Are you ready? It's time for another great infotaining show filled with power-packed business and life information. Welcome to Your Future Is Now with your host, Jim Grant, and co-host, Don McGrath. Want to know how to create a fantastic TED Talk? Or how you can become an author or a speaker or build your own online business? Maybe it's reaching a level of success in your life that you deserve. Their show is designed to provide information to assist you towards your success and destiny. Each week, Jim and Don will interview a special guest and share exciting lessons. So grab a pen and paper, take some notes. Thanks for joining the show. Now, here's Jim.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Grant, your host. Your Future Is Now is sponsored by speakerspathway.com. And I'm joined today by the co-founder, my good friend, business partner, and just a dandy kind of a guy, Dandy Don McGrath. And Dandy Don, last week, someone asked me, what is speakerspathway.com? And I said, well, in a nutshell, it is an online institute to help a person get from where they are to where they want to be. Would you agree with that, sir?
Absolutely. And specifically, we really help entrepreneurs who are trying to raise their level of success or pivoting what they're doing to get clarity, to create products, to sell them, and then to scale their business. That's kind of our model.
It really is. And one of the things that we're very, very proud of is that we have our members who earn the right to be on the radio show. We've had several of them on the radio show, and it doesn't cost them one thin dime. And last week, I got to tell this story again. Please forgive me, folks, but last week we had Sophia Olivius on our radio show. And the first time me and Don met her, in fact, I met her first, she was talking to me about what she wanted to do with the UN and this and that. And I just told her, I says, I don't think we're a good fit for you. And I told her, I says, Sophia, I'm so glad you didn't listen to me. That shows you what I know. And Don, you had to pick up the slack there and help her, didn't you, brother?
I did. Well, she confounded both of us. She asked, do we have connections in the United Nations? She had a big vision to want to end poverty, like big vision. And Jim and I were like, I don't know if we can help. But what we can help you do is get clarity around get your one sheet in place, get your speaker kit in place, get your speaker page in place, make sure your messaging clear. And guess what? Now she's in the running to be on a panel in the UN. So, I mean, really, it was just taking action and getting clarity has just made incredible things happen for Sophia.
Absolutely. What we were able to bring to the party for her, like Don said, was get her properly prepared to be on stage. And that's our special secret sauce. And in 2020, we're going to have a fantastic year this year where we're hoping to get more and more of our members to qualify to be on the radio's program, to be on stage, because that's what we love to do. That's the reason why we created the Speakers Pathway Coalition. Just for more information, go to speakerspathway.com. Stay in tune with us on Facebook, as I call Facebook. And we're always interested in having great talent. Today we have a gentleman, Dandy Don, Nathan Hirsch. When I started reading about his bio, I'm going like, my goodness, this guy is young, has done all of that. My gracious, we got to have him on the show, right, Dandy?
Yeah, I feel like I should have done like a 1,000 times more since I'm like 1,000 times as old. But that would be virtually impossible.
Absolutely. And Nathan, he is just a wonderful entrepreneur, and he's a perfect example of how you can take an idea and a dream and turn it into a reality. So, Dandy Don, if you'd be so kind, would you welcome Nathan to the show and turn it over to him, sir?
It would be my pleasure. So one of the things I think that many of us entrepreneurs are guilty of when we start out is taking on a lot, trying to do it all. We end up in solitary confinement in our home offices, and it can be a very lonely place. And one of the things I think that Nathan is specialized in is helping to break that cycle of loneliness to get you the help that you need in your business. So welcome to the show, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, guys. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, we were reading here, Nathan, that you originally started a company with $5,000 and you grew it to $12 million a year in revenue. Would you be kind enough to share that with the audience, please, sir?
Yeah. So even before that, I mean, I'm a 10-year entrepreneur. I'm 30 now. I started when I was 20. I started off buying and selling textbooks. And I did that out of my college dorm room. I was a broke college kid. I wanted to make a little extra money. And from there, I found out a lot about Amazon. And this was 2008, 2009. I mean, no one really knew what Amazon was. It was kind of this big bookstore that was just getting into other products. And there were no courses, no gurus, nothing really out there. And so I started experimenting. I thought it was so cool. I could have this 24/7 storefront that I could automatically deposit money in my bank account, and I could use my customer service skills and reply to people's emails. And this was all new. So I started experimenting with products that I was really familiar with, like outdoor equipment, sporting supplies, video games. And I just failed over and over and over. The only thing I could get to sell were these books. And it wasn't until I branched out of my comfort zone that I found the baby product industry, and it was a hot market. And before I knew it, I was selling millions of dollars of baby products on Amazon every year as a 20-year-old single college guy, which was pretty crazy. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was a brand new entrepreneur. College kids that I tried to hire were super unreliable. No one who was 30 really wanted to work for me. So I got into the remote hiring world, the virtual assistants, the freelancers, and I got pretty good at that. And I learned a ton along the way. I had high turnover. I didn't know how to run meetings. I didn't know how to retain people. And over time, I built a very good hiring process. And I used the Upworks and the Fivers of the world. I'm sure you guys are familiar with those. And I always just wanted a better, faster way. I hated posting a job, getting 100 people to apply, interviewing them one by one. And I kept looking for something faster. And when I couldn't find it, I built it myself. I said, you know what, I'll build my own platform. And I started it with $5,000. The name of the platform is Free Up, like free up your time with 3 E's. And the concept was, we'll vet people for you. We'll get applicants, virtual assistants, freelancers, agencies from all over the world. We'll interview them. We'll test their skills. We'll make sure they have a great attitude before letting them on the platform. And then we'll make them available to people quickly whenever they need them. And on the back end, have 24/7 support in case you have even the smallest issue, and a no turnover guarantee. If people quit for any reason, we'll cover replacement costs and get you a new person right away. So that was the original concept, the pre-vetting, the speed, the customer service, and the protection. And people really loved the idea. We scaled it. We invested in software, and we reinvested the profits back into the business, getting the business to over $12 million a year in revenue in 4 years. And I was telling you guys before the show, well, before we scheduled the show, I still own the company. I actually sold the company about like 25, 30 days ago. And we were acquired by an awesome company, the Hoff, that we're really excited to partner with and work with. And they're going to take great care of the clients and the freelancers and the internal team. So it's been a fun ride going from textbooks to baby products to starting a freelancer marketplace to getting acquired. And now I'm excited for a new adventure. I'm starting a company called Outsource School to bring education to the virtual assistant space and teach people how to use VAs even better.
Yeah, you know what's amazing there, Dandy, is he was talking about that. I was picking up on the fact that he had a need. There wasn't a platform there. And so the mother of invention was that need. You know, how many times we've seen that happen or heard that happen in life, you know?
You see a need, but sometimes you're wrong. Like what you think is the need isn't. So I'm curious about this baby market. Like how did you stumble across that, Nathan?
Yeah, I wish I had like some algorithm or some like crazy research that I did, but none of that really existed. I mean, Amazon was just this new platform that was growing rapidly, and it was trial and error. I was just trying every different product. I was also somewhat limited. I didn't have a warehouse to store inventory. I didn't have a lot of cash to buy inventory. So I came up with the idea of drop shipping years before I even knew it was called drop shipping. The concept that I could build a relationship with a manufacturer, a vendor, and I would sell the product on Amazon and they would ship it to my end customers. So once I kind of developed that business model and proved it a little bit, then it was, okay, what manufacturers will actually work with me as a 20-year-old college kid? And reaching out, I found vendors in the baby product space, and through trial and error, I was able to sell their products, and it really snowballed from there. I mean, if you think about it logically, the baby product industry is just a big industry, right? I mean, if you think of the biggest industries in the world, it's right up there. A lot of people have kids. People will pay high dollar amounts for things for their kids. So it makes sense now, but back then it was just a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, because as you're talking there too, I'm visualizing you saying, well, I'm tried this didn't work. I'm going to try this, just keep on trying and just keep on trying. You found something that worked. And was it because you believed in yourself or you believed in the system or a combination of the two? Would you share that with us? Got about 2 minutes left, sir.
Yeah. So growing up, my parents were both teachers, and I always grew up with the mentality that I was going to go to school, get a real job, work for 30 years and retire. And I'm actually hanging out with them right now at the holidays. We're at a beach house, and they're retired. They're traveling the world. They worked as teachers for 30 years, got their pension. They're living life, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I knew at a young age that that's not what I wanted to do. My parents always made me get summer jobs, and I was working 40 hours a week from the time I was 15 on. And I learned a lot about customer service and sales and marketing, but I also learned that I hated working for other people, and I was going to be miserable if that was going to be the rest of my life. So when I got to college, I kind of looked at it as a ticking clock. I had 4 years to figure it out, to hustle, to create my own business, or I was going to go into the real world and have a job and bills and responsibilities and never look back. So that was really my motivation.
I see, because it's really interesting. I like the way you were describing that and how your life unfolded, because this thing about going to school and is still around. You still hear it, don't you, Dandy? I mean, about go to school, get a good job, be set for life. I mean, that doesn't work like it used to, does it, Dandy? It's
very, very, very different. I mean, if you look at the numbers, you'll see that earnings has not kept pace with inflation for many college education degrees. So yeah, I mean, I think many people like you, Nathan, are taking alternative paths and are finding great success.
Yeah, sorry, keep going. I know we're almost out of time.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, even now, you can go to a university and pay $40,000 a year, or you can YouTube it.
We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
SpeakersPathway.com is the proud sponsor of Your Future Is Now, a show dedicated and aligned in perfect harmony with the vision and mission of Speakers Pathway. Dr. Sony Jackson's expertise is on the art of marketing while cultivating a long-term customer relationship in your business world. Do you know what to say or how to deliver your message to complete strangers? If so, Sony can help you. Tamara Hunter is a cancer survivor and works with people to focus their message or mission to the audience they want to reach. Do you feel called to create a movement to make the world a better place? If so, Tamara can help you. For additional information from any of our executive training directors, go to speakerspathway.com. That is speakerspathway.com.
Emergency room nurse will tell you they receive some weird and wild calls. I used to be the night ER nurse at Hennepin County General Hospital in Minneapolis, and remember getting a call from someone who was worried about if it mattered or not if their belly button was an innie or an outie. It doesn't matter, but if you're an outie, you are definitely the minority. Still, that's good news, because you don't have to worry about a little problem that people with innies have. Pledge it. That's another word for belly button lint. Researchers say the color of the pledget in your belly button is related to the clothing you wear, just like the lint that collects in your clothes dryer. A friend of mine from the Philippines says they call it a chikachu. What do you call a person who's obsessed with their belly button? An amphiloxicite. I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Grant. Your Future is Now is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com. And Dandy Don and I are really impressed with our guest today, Mr. Nathan Hirsch. He is just 30 years of age. He's about 41 years younger than I am and a whole lot smarter. He's done a lot of good things out there. We were really impressed, Don, with how he in college as a 20-year-old kid. It's just, I mean, my goodness. The drive that he had, the stickability to it. That's what really impressed me during the first leg of the show here, the first segment. And what impressed you about him, Don?
Just spotting opportunities and being willing to fail. Nathan, you said earlier that, you tried this and you tried that. You tried sporting goods and outdoor, all things you knew, and none of them succeeded. And then you came across baby products. And so, I think as an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to fail. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Nathan.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm not a huge risk taker. I've never dumping $50,000 into ads or buying a $100,000 investment. That's not really my style. But I am trying lots of different things. I'm reaching out to different influencers, different things in different places. Reaching out to different podcasts, different exposure. I'm investing small amounts of money into different social media channels to see what works and what doesn't work. And I fail all the time. I get rejected every single day, every single week. And again, I'm not making huge investments, but it is my time. It is small amounts of money. And I'm trying to figure out what's working and what's not working. And my two businesses that I started, I really found those businesses because I was trying lots of different things. I was seeing what's a good use of my time, what's a good use of my resources, and was able to quickly eliminate things that didn't get an ROI, maybe revisiting them later and saying, hey, this lead generation system is working. Hey, being on podcasts is helping me grow my business. Hey, selling baby products is generating revenue and doubling down on what's working. And to me, this is how you can be an entrepreneur in 2020, because if you go back 20 years ago, you couldn't start a business with $5,000 and a laptop, but you have so much opportunity now, and you have to be out there every single day trying new things, seeing what's working and what's not.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right, because one of our executive training directors, Preston Martelli, Dandy Don, we were very impressed when he took him, his wife, and 4 kids. They traveled around the world. And he was able to maintain his online business because he had a laptop and Wi-Fi. That's really impressive, isn't it?
It is, and it's never been easier. It's never been easy. The technology's there. I spent 2 months in a camper, and the Wi-Fi 3 years ago was terrible in many campsites. But today, you really can work from anywhere, even a campground somewhere in the middle of West Virginia.
Yeah, I remember Dandy Don was standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona on a Friday, and we did the radio show, and he was out there. Did that lady ever stop in that Ford truck to see you there, brother?
No. Turns out she's always there, though.
I know it. She had a picture taken there. Your wife did. We joke about that, but it's really cool. But it's so true, because if you have a laptop and you have a business plan, and you got to surround yourself with people who can help you get from where you are to where you want to be, because nobody knows it all. And I'm really impressed with Nathan, because he came up with a program, a platform, I should say, because he saw a need that he needed and it wasn't there. And my goodness, Nathan, I mean, I got to tip my hat to you. That's amazing, because that's what really entrepreneurs are about. Filling a need. Isn't that right, brother?
Yeah, it really is. It's figuring out what people actually want. And the funny thing is, a lot of times you think you know what people want, and then if you actually go out and talk to your customers, talk to your client base, you'll find out they want something either completely different or slightly different. So to me, asking for feedback is key. When we first started FreeUp, we got it out there with the most minimum viable product you can imagine. It was a very crummy software. We had only virtual assistants from the Philippines. They were only for Amazon sellers. And we really went out and asked clients what they wanted. And they said, hey, we want US freelancers. We want graphic designers. We want bookkeepers. We want these software upgrades. And we made a list of everything that people wanted. And over time started to really chip away at that list and customize our business to what our client base actually wanted. And I think a lot of people, they go into it thinking they know what people want, and they're making decisions without that actual data. So my advice is to go out and actually have conversations with your clients, with your customers, your ideal customers, and figure out how you can change your business and tweak your business to meet their needs.
That's one of the things that people love to do. They love to share their opinion or their ideas or whatever, if you're willing to ask them. And that's very, very critical. And that doesn't cost anything, does it, Nathan?
No, I mean, it's when I'm at conferences, yeah, you have to pay for a ticket or whatever it is. But now you have the internet. You can message people on social media. You can start a newsletter where you ask a question and get feedback. You can go on a podcast. I make Facebook Lives and Facebook stories all the time where now I'm launching my new business, Outsource School. I want to know what are the top questions you have about virtual assistants. I want to make sure that I cover it in my courses. So that getting that information is key.
It really is. And, Don, you mentioned that you use virtual assistants. That's really beneficial for you because they're there to help you do some things that you cannot do. And would you share your experience with working with VAs, virtual assistants?
Yeah, it's if done correctly, it can be great. But you really need to know what you want. You have to be really crystal clear, because there's people aren't going to be sitting next to you able to ask a million questions, right? So you need to get very clear about specifying exactly what you want. And I'm an engineer by trade, so I've lived specifications. So for me, it's been a really great experience. I've had a lot of luck. But Nathan, one thing you said that was music to my ears. You used the term minimum viable product, because here's one thing that Jim and I see a lot with entrepreneurs we come across is it's not about what a customer wants. It's about what they want to build. And they want to write a book, and they want to do a talk, and they want to build a course, and they want to build all this stuff. And they spend years and tens of thousands of dollars doing it, only to find that it's not really what people need. So can you explain that, for those not familiar with it, can you explain that what that term means, minimum viable product?
Yeah, whatever the bare minimum that you need to be able to run a business or get an income stream or land a client, get that out there. I mean, I'm launching a course now. That might mean making 4 basic modules before making the next 10. It might mean with our software company, I mean, with FreeUp, we needed a way for clients to view the freelancer on their side, for freelancers to clock in and clock out. And that was really it. We could run the business just with those 2 things. Yes, there were other things that made the business better over time, like adding automatic affiliates that people could give out affiliate links, and making it so billing could actually go through the portal instead of being separate where we charge their card, and making it so there's a ticketing system where people can request a freelancer and it keeps track of it nice and organized and has a project board on the freelancer side. But when you think about it, those are all just add-ons. They're additions, and you don't actually know what people want and what people don't want until you get that minimum viable product out there and ask them for feedback and get their suggestions. So my mentality is get out there as basic as possible. Whatever you need to actually run your business. Obviously, don't launch your business without a way to charge people or without what you actually need to run the day-to-day of your business, but get it out there quickly and then grab as much feedback as possible. And you might have a to-do list of 100 things, but it's going to let you prioritize that to-do list between what people really want. And one thing that I mentioned, that I don't take a lot of risks. I don't make big investments without knowing that they're going to actually work. Don't dump $50,000 into a software and then get it to market. Start it off with less and less, get it to market, and then make adjustments.
That's very interesting. I like the way you put that, because a lot of people, as we're talking about the minimum viable product, they want to get a big, perfect thing. And Don and I, we're very big about telling them, listen, perfection leads to paralysis. It cripples you. It stops you from going and growing, because you're actually living on a false hope. That's what I tell people when you're trying to build this thing and make a perfect, great product. Just start out, like you say, with just something simple that you can turn into, get some good feedback on and start, serving people. That's the big thing that I see with people. How about you, Don?
Yeah, Jim, one of the things that we see over and over again when people come into Speakers Pathway Coalition is often they have many things going on. They might have a podcast. They might be working on a book. They might have a coaching program and do workshops. And one thing I like to coach them on is, what is your fast path to cash? One thing. Yeah. Let's find your fastest path to cash. What is that asset that's being underutilized? And that whole change in mindset helps them adopt what you're talking about, Nathan, which is, what is the minimum viable thing? Not create anything new. Don't create anything new. Just take what you have and learn how to market and sell it, which is the key.
Yeah, agreed. And the sooner that you can get to actually selling it is really big. I mean, so many people, they're all about planning, they're all about building, but they're really just postponing actually going to market and selling it and marketing and see if people want it. At some point, you got to get it to market. That's why we're going to pre-sell outsourcing school. People that sign up early are going to be able to get access it and give us feedback early on. Same thing what we did with FreeUp. We got it out there as quick as we possibly could. We pushed our developer to just get the software done. We'll get it to market, and then we'll adjust.
Absolutely. And you actually had to come out of your comfort zone for certain times, I bet, to do that, didn't you, Nathan?
Sorry, say that again?
I said you probably had to, push yourself a little bit and come out of your comfort zone to say, hey, we're going forward, because that's, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but normally people want to stay in that comfort zone as long as they can because they're comfortable there. But you got to get it out there, right?
Definitely. I mean, the first feedback that we got on FreeUp was, oh, great, another freelancing platform. That's what the world needs. and I mean, that hurt, right? We just invested 3 weeks and some money into this project, and that's the initial feedback we get. But instead, we focused on, okay, it's another freelance platform, but what do you not like about the other ones? How can we make it even better? And are you even our target market? Because just because 5 people say they hate your product doesn't necessarily mean that they're your ideal customer. So really just continuing to get it out there and not letting a little negativity stop you from building up that momentum is key.
Yeah, that's very important in it, because you were able to turn a negative into a positive by asking them where were they disappointed at with the other products.
Exactly.
And, yeah, we got a little bit of background noise there. Apologize for that, folks. But that's very, very critical. Ask someone what were their expectations? Why were they disappointed? Because if they come out like they did you there, Nathan, said, oh, another one of these, they've already been disappointed because their expectations they were either oversold and underdelivered or something. We'll be right back right after these messages.
This show, Your Future Is Now, is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com. And just like the show, we are dedicated and aligned in perfect harmony with the same vision and mission of helping people to find their future. Is fear holding you back from your calling or your life mission? Do you struggle with taking that first step? If so, Bill Hirsch is our catalyst to help you create perspectives with new possibilities that will bring you more peace, more joy, more love in your life and freedom. Do you struggle trying to build your strategy? Do you know how to reach your end results? If not, Gigi Ames is your expert in strategy and helping you create your step-by-step game plan to reach your finish line. For more information on creating the life you want to live, reach out to Bill Hirsch. Or if Gigi Ames can help you with building your strategy with your end goal in sight, go to SpeakersPathway.com. That is SpeakersPathway.com.
It's words you never heard.
Mike McMillan from Ontario, Canada, was driving to a meeting when he saw what looked like a can of cola moving around on the side of the road. Curious, he stopped to investigate and discovered a skunk had gotten its head stuck in a soda can. After a moment of abulia, or indecision, he decided to try and save the potentially woofy animal. Woofy is another word for smelly. He grabbed the can and engaged in dang swang, or a cooperative tug of war with the skunk, all the while hoping he wouldn't get sprayed. Finally, the skunk managed to pop its head out of the can and land safely on the ground. After a brief stare down, the skunk turned and ran into the woods. What's another word for running away in fright? Funkify.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Grant. Your Future is Now is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com. I'm joined by my good friend, business partner, the co-founder of SpeakersPathway.com, and we have some complimentary gifts there at SpeakersPathway.com from our executive training directors. Would you share a couple of them with us, Dandy?
Absolutely. The one I'd like to really feature today is because I floated this idea over the holidays on social media, and I got a lot of response that I do some training on getting on TEDx stages and giving great TED Talks. And so if you go to speakerspathway.com, up in the menus, there's TEDx training. If you click on that, you can download a sheet that I have in there that's the 5 steps to your kick butt TEDx talk. And when you do that, you'll also get invited to a webinar that we have coming up this month, Jim, that I'm really, really excited about. So go to speakerspathway.com, TEDx training, and I hope to see you on this value-packed webinar later this month.
Absolutely, Dandy. That is a tremendous value because I know that Dandy Don is internationally known around the world, not only as Dandy Don because he's a dandy guy, but he's also known as the Speaking Geek. Nathan, did you know that he's known as the Speaking Geek?
And now I do. I didn't know that before.
And I don't know where that came from. I don't know whether I said it or somebody else said it, but it stuck like glue.
Oh, it sure did. And another word that he used was really, really great. Nathan, I think you'll enjoy this before we get back into the nuts and bolts of the show here. Just a nicety to share with you. He came up with the word Selexpert. Dandy Don, you got that registered, and it's yours. And would you be kind enough to share how you came up with that?
Yeah, it actually came to me as I was preparing for some training that we did last summer. And what occurred to me when I looked at who gets on stages easily, it's celebrities. These are people famous for being famous. They get paid a ton, and they have agents, and they have no trouble getting in front of people and getting on stages. But most of the people we work with and most of entrepreneurs are experts. They're expert at something. So what I came up with is how to really get your expertise out there in a big way is to turn yourself into a celebrity expert or a Selexpert. So I've trademarked that, and we're putting some training around that to show people how to create that celebrity within their crowd, within their niche. And I'm really, really super excited. Just heard from the USPTO that I got the official registered trademark for that. So very excited about that.
Absolutely, Don, and that's really amazing. And ladies and gentlemen, before we go any further, we're visiting with Nathan Hirsch, and I want Nathan to be kind enough to tell people how can they get in touch with you? What's your website? What's your email address? If they want to say, tell me more, how can they get in touch with you, Nathan?
Yeah, so right now you can go to outsourceschool.com. You can join our newsletter. We post weekly tips and tricks on how to use virtual assistants. You can also connect with me on social media, Real Nate Hirsch on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn, just Nathan Hirsch, Hirsch. And just Nathan Hirsch, really anywhere online. I'm pretty easy to contact.
That's amazing. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll have all those websites and everything in our description, so you can share that with others. Please do. We really appreciate all the subscriptions and all of the downloads that we get here on the show. We're very, very thankful. Our focus is to provide good value. And we were talking about virtual assistants, and Dandy Don, you raised a great question during the break. Would you share that with us?
Yeah, so before the break, Nathan was sharing with us that, he created this platform, but a minimum viable platform for a virtual assistant, a way for people to use virtual assistants, a platform. And they rolled it out, and the feedback they got was, oh, another platform for using virtual assistants. But, I think then, Nathan, you turned around and you started asking, well, what don't you like about the other ones? So I'd like to hear from you. What were the most common mistakes you saw people making when using the other platforms or trying to work with virtual assistants?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing when you're going on another platform is it's kind of a big free-for-all, right? Anyone can create an account. Anyone can offer services. When you do post a job, you're overwhelmed with applicants that apply. You might get 50, 100 applicants in a job post. Then you got to set up times. You got to interview them. If you hire them, who knows if they're going to disappear, if they're going to quit after a week. If they do, you have to start that process all over again. So we really tried to change it so that we vetted people before they even got on the platform. We only introduced 1 to 3 applicants that we knew were qualified, and we protected clients. If someone did quit, we cover replacement costs. If a freelancer quit on a client, they're removed from the platform. So there were a lot of protections there to really help people. And then comes the educational side of it, right? Because even if we get you someone really good, if you don't know what to do with them after the fact, it only does you so much good. So that's why now we're focused on Outsource School to teach people, hey, this is how we interview people quick and efficiently to see if they're going to be a fit. And then it's, hey, how do you onboard them? How do you get them to buy into your company culture and actually figure out that they have a good attitude before you invest time and effort training them? Then how do you train them quickly and make sure they actually understand things and don't make mistakes that hurt your business? And then once you get them trained, once you've invested all this time to interview them, to onboard them, to train them, how do you manage them? How do you motivate them? How do you get them the most out of you so that they continue to contribute to your business and help you going forward instead of having to replace them and have them go take all that and work for another company? So to me, that's what a lot of people miss is, yes, you can find good people, but that's only part of the battle.
When is a good time for someone that, would you say is the right time to start hiring or looking for a virtual assistant?
Sorry, what was that?
When is the right time for someone that may say, well, I think it's time for me to hire a virtual assistant? I mean, someone, might be listening thinking, well, do I hire a virtual assistant now or do I wait later? I mean, what's a good indicator there? Could you give your opinion on that and your experience?
Yeah, so some of the things that people don't do is really give all the information up front. On what they're expecting. Setting those expectations is so key. I mean, you have to remember that one virtual assistant, it might work for 5 different clients. They all have different expectations about what they like and what they don't like, what's good and what's bad. Really making sure that you lay out those expectations up front. A perfect example of that is people in the Philippines, their time zone is 12 hours difference, right? And if I need a customer service rep 9 to 5 Eastern time, before I do anything else, I need to make 100% sure that person is good working 9 to 5 Eastern time. Because if they're not, or if I can gauge that there's any concerns or they've never done it before, I don't want to spend the next 30 minutes interviewing them. I want to make sure that expectation is set right from the beginning. I only need someone 9 to 5 Eastern time, or I only want someone that can respond within a business day, whatever that is. So really spending extra time on those expectations is a mistake that I see people miss, and it leads to a lot of issues.
Oh, yeah, because that's extremely important. As you were talking there, Dandy Don has this photograph that he shows when he's teaching a class about start with the end result in mind. And that's what you got to do. What's the end result of what you're doing there? And it's kind of like what the thought that came to my mind. It's kind of like going to the doctor's office. The doctor's going to be seeing a whole bunch of patients during the day. The more detailed information that you can give him or her, the better result you're going to have. That was what I picked up on it. And Dandy Don, I know that you show that picture of the rear of the elephant, start with the end result in mind. And I mean, I love that. And that's why I wanted to share that. But what did you get out of what he said there? Well,
I just love just be very clear on what you want. Know exactly what you want. An issue that I've seen is sometimes you don't know what you want until somebody delivers the wrong thing. I'll give you a good example. I had someone design a logo for me, and they did a great job, came out with the logo, and then like a month later, I needed a black and white version of it. So I had to go back, I had to try to find the person, I had to establish a new contract. So what I learned is when I did logos in the future was to ask for a PNG file, a JPEG file, a black and white, so all the different things that you need. And when you do it, they can do it. It's no problem for them if they're skilled. So I love what you said, Nathan, being very clear and knowing exactly what you want for your use cases.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because, and thinking about when you're hiring someone, the more information that you ask of them, and always ask the question, do you understand what I'm saying? Because I learned that as a supervisor, even in the military. I mean, if you think that people are going to understand what you're saying, unless you ask questions, get feedback from them, they'll just stand there and look at you, and you think you're good to go, and you're not. And I imagine the same thing is true with what you find, Nathan.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I like to get everything in writing. So I'll confirm things and I'll say things in different ways and get them to really make sure that they confirm it. If I teach them something and they make a mistake, that's fine. People are human. They make mistakes. I reteach it to them. I'm going to confirm, hey, you understand. Are you sure you understand? Next time that comes in, I need to make sure that you get it. Because if not, I'm happy to spend extra time now teaching it to you and making sure that you actually get it now. But if you tell me, hey, you got it, and then next time I have to spend more time going back, that's not cool. So making sure that, like you said, that they actually understand it, that they confirm it in writing. Let's say that you have someone working 9 to 5 and they show up an hour late. Well, that doesn't work. I'm not going to work with someone that does it. I'm going to give them a warning. Hey, I need you to confirm in writing that you understand that you will show up on time going forward, or give us notice. And if not, you can't continue to work here. Please confirm. And only once they confirm will they continue working. That's one of the ways that I handle issues with any virtual assistant. I don't just let them keep working and tell them information. All work pauses, everything stops until we get on the same page, and only when we're on the same page do we proceed forward with work.
That's really amazing. I like the way you put that, because that is just right, point blank business. I mean, you got to be, you got to be firm. I mean, you got to say, this is where I stand. This is what I need. If you can meet that standard, that's fine, because it's up to you to set that standard. And Don, you and I mean, we have standards we set, and we live up to our standards, don't we, sir?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's about being clear and being consistent. And I used to manage teams in India, and engineering teams. And some people would bemoan that, it's 12-hour time difference and it's hard to communicate. But you know what? It can be used to your advantage. If I have a good way of handing off work and communicating, I can come in the next day and there could be work done that I could begin moving on. It can be very, very powerful.
Absolutely, because it's very, very important. We're just about ready to break for commercial, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Your Future Is Now is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com, and just like the show, we are dedicated and aligned in perfect harmony with the same vision and mission of helping people define their future. You may have heard that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, a video is worth 1,000 pictures. Koji Sumaldi says if you're not using video in 2019, you're going to get left behind. Most people feel lost or confused when it comes to marketing. Preston Martelli is a marketing guru whose strategies are both art and science in growing your business. Preston helps you make the right decisions that are predictable, measurable, and scalable. For additional information about Koji, Preston, or any of our executive training directors, go to our website at speakerspathway.com. That is speakerspathway.com.
It's words you never heard.
A few years ago, some fishermen off the coast of Italy discovered some pottery along with fish in their nets. Divers were called out and discovered an ancient Roman ship whose galley, or caboose, a nautical term for kitchen, was extremely intact. Some of the food uncovered on board was pickled fish, wine, oil, and grain used to make the ship's biscuits, otherwise known as dandy funks. It is thought the 2,000-year-old boat was probably on its way to Spain when it sunk and was covered by layers of mud, baggy wrinkles and all. Baggy wrinkles are another name for the ship's ropes. The mud protected the ship from wear, explaining why the leftover food on board was still in such good condition. We land lubbers may not be familiar with leftovers on the sea, but we are familiar with leftovers in our kitchen.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Grant. Your Future is Now is sponsored by SpeakersPathway.com. And Dandy Don is the co-founder of SpeakersPathway.com. He's with us today. And Dandy Don there at SpeakersPathway.com, you were talking about the TEDx. Would you be kind enough to share that again? Because that is a hot topic. A lot of people want to know about TEDx. How did they get training?
TEDx is an incredible platform. It really can help to establish you as a celebrity expert or a selexpert. And if you want to know more, I have a guide, an action guide. If you go to speakerspathway.com, up in the menu, there is TEDx training. Go there and download the 5 simple steps to your kick butt TED Talk. And in there, I share 5 steps on how you can win the TEDx stages, give great talks, and then get the views that you desire and deserve.
Yeah, thank you, Dandy. You know, during the break, we were visiting with Nathan Hirsch, and I'm going to have Nathan get right into how he grew his business and expanded his business and how he managed, all these more than one freelancer. But first of all, Nathan, would you be kind enough to share with the folks your website, how they can get in touch with you in case they says, hey, I need to know more about Nathan Hirsch and what he's doing and how to get in touch with you, brother. Would you share that with us?
Yeah, go to outsourceschool.com. We've got an awesome newsletter. We send out tips and tricks every single week. When our course is going to be launching soon, you can get early access to that, special discounts. You'll be able to connect with me and my business partner, Connor, and we're there to help you however we can. And definitely connect with me on any social media channel that you use.
Thank you, sir. And would you be kind enough to talk about how you grew your business, how you expanded your business, how you managed to basically the virtual assistants, because you had more than one, didn't you, sir?
Yeah, so by the time we sold Free Up, we had about 35 full-time virtual assistants. And the important thing to keep in mind is I didn't just wake up one day and hire 35 people. That's not how it worked. I hired one person part-time, 20 hours a week. She would wake up every morning right before I woke up and clear out my inbox and get the day organized for me so that I got a head start to every single day. And as Free Up grew, I hired a second person because I always like to diversify. So I had 2 20-hour-a-week people. Then I increased it to 40, and then I hired another person. So I built it up from there. And what I looked at it is, what are the core teams that I need in my business? Customer service, billing, and recruitment. So I assigned a team leader to each team. And then I also had 2 team leaders for customer service, since customer service is more 24/7. So I had a morning and an afternoon team leader. Then I also added assistant team leaders for customer service. So I had a night team leader and a weekend team leader that were assistants to the main team leaders. And then I gave different leaders assistants. So accounting got 2 different assistants, and then recruitment got 2 different assistants. So I built out the teams so that I was dealing primarily with the leaders, and then I would talk to them and ask for feedback on how much manpower, woman power they actually needed, and built up their teams from there. So I think a lot of people, they'll get into that mentality where they're like, okay, I have 10 virtual assistants and it's me managing all 10 virtual assistants. That's not an efficient way to go about it. You need some kind of structure with leaders and assistant team leaders and other VAs that know who that go-to person is so that you don't find yourself managing tons of people across different teams.
That's very important because a lot of people, when it comes, like I tell people, when you look at any organization, whether it's sports like a football team or something like that, or whether it's the head of General Motors. I mean, basically, you can only manage about 4 to 5 people. And you have people under them that answer to them, because you can't handle no 35 people, can you? Can you, Nathan?
Exactly. You can. At some point, your business, your life is going to get too crazy to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And Dandy Don, I know that when you were an engineer and you were in charge of all those people, how many people did you supervise personally at one time, would you say, roughly?
Typically, depending upon the role, it was 5 to 10 people. 10 if it was individual contributors, 5 if it was managers. But there was one time when, because of reorganizations, I had 22 direct reports, and it nearly killed me.
Oh my goodness!
I just could not wait to get that figured out. But yeah, it can make your life absolutely insane.
Yeah, one of the things too, ladies and gentlemen, I've learned in life is that when you've got to be consistent in your message. You take, for example, I'm going to use the military as an example because people can understand that. You got 4 ranks, you have your 4 squad leaders, and you got a platoon sergeant up there at front. And when you're addressing the platoon, you talk directly to your squad leaders. Let them handle the team chiefs in the squad and so on and so forth, because if you're standing there in front of them and you're talking directly to the individual soldiers, you're sending a mixed signal. They're saying, hey, you talk to me directly, I can talk to you directly. And that's a major disconnect. That's how come you got to have a system in place to where they know who they report to, and the people in your organization know who reports to you directly, because that's very critical to have consistency there. Wouldn't you agree with that, Nathan?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, even just figuring out how can you have quick and efficient meetings. If you can't meet with your leaders and have a 20 to 30 minute meeting where you're all quickly on the same page and you're organized and you're ready to execute for the next week, you have some structural changes to make. You either need to have conversations with people about how to be more direct and more clear, or you don't have the right leadership in place, or it could be you and how you're managing and giving instructions and running meetings. So getting that leadership team in place, getting people that want to be leaders, that want to continue to learn how to be better leaders, that want that responsibility, and then also committing yourself to becoming a better manager, a better owner, or a better leader, and working together to make it as efficient as possible. To me, that was a key to a lot of our success.
Yeah, because I know that Don and I, we may not have discussed it, but I felt like, Don and I, we both came from the same mold. When you free up your time, it allows you to have more time to be focused. And that's very, very critical. And someone may be listening and might be wondering, well, how expensive are virtual assistants? I mean, could you give us an idea? I know that's a very loose question, but just take that ball and run with it, Nathan.
Yeah, so I like to divide it into 3 different levels. So you got followers, you got doers, and you got experts. Where followers are more when people think of virtual assistants. They're there to follow your system, your process. They're in that $5 to $8 an hour range, maybe in the $6 to $12 an hour range if you've got a leader or someone with more experience. But again, they're there to follow. Then more of the freelancers, you've got the doers, that 10 to 30 range, the graphic designers, bookkeepers, writers, maybe you're doing fixed project too. And then you got the experts, the high-level freelancers, the consultants, the agencies, and they're going to be in that 30 and up, and they could be monthly retainers or whatever it is, and they're going to bring their own systems, their own processes. So 3 different levels to hire: the followers, the doers, and the experts. But when we're talking about virtual assistants, we're really in that followers in that 5 to 8 or 5 to 12 range.
Yeah, they're the ones that you've got to give specific, clear instructions to. And, Dandy Don, I know you use virtual assistants, and is that about what you experience in your price range?
Yeah, absolutely. It depends on the skill. If you want someone to do video editing, they're probably going to charge a little bit more than someone who's going to do a simple graphic design or follow some simple social media formula that you already have. But yeah, it highly depends upon the skill, and as it should be, right? You people who are highly skilled should be paid more, and you should expect to pay them more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if you're starting out, ladies and gentlemen, you're kind of wondering, well, I would like to have a virtual assistant. I don't really know a lot about it, and I don't want to, waste a lot of time. Please get in touch with Nathan there at Outsource School, and you'd be glad to help him, wouldn't you, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna spend a lot of time putting our heart and soul into this. I mean, we have 8+ years of experience using virtual assistants, and we want to share that with the world.
Oh, that's amazing, because that's what Don and I have done. We started a Speakers Pathway Coalition because we saw a lot of people that did not have the experience that we had. They also paid for a lot of training, speaker training, and there was no one there to connect the dots to help them get from where they wanted to be. And we created that because we saw the need, and I know that you see a need there to help people to share your information of 8.5 years with them so they can be more on a fast track. And that's very, very critical, isn't it?
Very critical.
Yeah. Dandy Don, I tell you, I've kind of hogged the mic a little bit today, and I want to apologize to you, brother, because you and I, when we started Speakers Pathway Coalition, our focus was on helping people, and that's what I see in Nathan. It's really the only way to fly, isn't it, brother?
It is. Everything comes from service. I mean, when you serve, then you almost serve and follow the energy. That's kind of how we've been running Speakers Pathway Coalition. And one of the things we recognized early on is we needed a team, much like Nathan's been talking about, that you and I don't know everything, and nor can we do everything. So forming a team is absolutely critical in being able to scale things. So Nathan, one thing I'd love to hear from you is at what point, if you got 2 customers, you probably don't need customer support. At what point do you feel like, what would be your advice to someone sitting out there? At what point should they start looking at virtual assistants?
So if you're not making any money, if you haven't proven your business model yet, if you don't have a customer or client base, probably not ready to hire virtual assistants. If you find yourself stuck in the day-to-day operations of your business, you have a revenue stream, or you're somewhat profitable, that's about the time where you start looking for one. And you don't have to hire them full time. You can hire someone 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week. You don't even have to hire someone ongoing. You can think of it more project-based or fixed price, whatever it is. So that's usually around the time. And I always recommend that you look at how much money you made last month and how you can invest that money. Do you need followers? Do you need doers? Do you need experts? How aggressive do you want to be? If you want to be really aggressive, maybe you're investing 40, 60% of your profits back into hiring. If you're more conservative, maybe you're in that 10 to 30 range. I tend to be around 25% of my gross profits that I'm investing into hiring, because I know that's a good investment to help scale my business.
That sounds real good, because the advice that we always give people is always start with the end result in mind, number one. Number two, focus on being a good servant, because that is critical. That will pay you dividends as you go and grow your business, because you will become a subject matter expert. You'll become a trusted expert. You'll become a select-expert, as Dandy Don likes to say there, for people who want to be a celebrity and an expert too. And that's very, very important. And Nathan, we want to thank you so much for being on the show. We got just about 30 seconds or so left today. And ladies and gentlemen, all the information how to get in touch with Nathan and the description of the show will be in the description of the show. You can download it, be on iTunes. We're also on YouTube. And Dandy Don, anything you want to say before we go?
No, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah, Happy New Year, because 2020 is all about vision and clarity. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next Friday.